This is the beginning of the video. If anybody hovers their mouse over or their finger over, they're going to see me doing all kinds of crazy stuff and wonder what's going on. Hi, welcome to
Don't make a
Jumpstart.
video like that.
My name is Peter Hartman. I'm here with my brother Tom Hartman. Tom is a web programmer, marketer, and trader. I am an entrepreneur, a comedian, and a motivational consultant, and we're here to jumpstart your life. Uh, Jumpstart Live is an online digital salon. I don't have to say online and digital; it's redundant. It's very
It's a
redundant.
cyber
To say
web, interconnected triple W sort of situation.
that. Exactly. It's a salon. Tom describes a salon. He's described it many times as a conversation between two interesting people that is meant to edify you, to educate you, expose you to new ideas. You would have done this in a pre-COVID world. We would have done this in person. We would have sat around in a house, having a few drinks, drinking some coffee, drinking some whatever, and hearing this conversation. But now you're hearing it online. So welcome to Jumpstart Live. We're going to be having a conversation today about is this the end for Bitcoin?
Bitcoin. I mean,
Right, we're going to talk about a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. I know you've heard that term before. You're like, what's FUD? But you were like, oh, too shy to shoot, too shy to ask about it, too dumb to Google it. FUD is
yes,
fear,
it's
uncertainty,
FUD.
and
It's FUD for thought, THOT, which is that hole over there. Just in case you didn't know. Just in case you didn't know that,
we've got a comment here already. Xander saying, nice video, guys. We just started, but I love that your bar is that low. It's really great that your bar is that low. Xander, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. So Bitcoin is tanking. Just a few days ago, it was at, not too long ago, it was just broke its all-time high at 61,000 something. And
Yeah,
today,
but
right
breaking
now,
its
it's
all-time
at...
high is not. The
Yeah,
thing is,
and right now it's at $49,702. Just framing the conversation. Go ahead, Tom.
sure. Well, the thing is, whenever Bitcoin breaks an all-time high, we're expecting it to soar past that point, to just like crush the all-time high, break the glass ceiling like Hillary Clinton becoming president, and really end up in a new in a new paradigm. But
That
that's not
hurts,
what
Tom.
happened this time.
That hurts. Yeah, and it's not what happened to Hillary either.
Exactly. What happens? What's happening to Bitcoin now is what happened to Hillary. Just almost made it, and now it's getting Donald Trump. And so, people were already on the rocks before. Like a bunch of other things were outperforming Bitcoin, not just Ethereum, which was skyrocketing, making solid gains, all time highs. I mean, on Cialis and Viagra, the Ethereum was on, but and a lot of the other crypto tokens like Dogecoin was beating everything. A bunch of those meme coins were going crazy. They were all performing way better. ADA, DOT, all these were performing way better than Bitcoin. And so then once Bitcoin it starts to head lower, people are like, okay, it went from 60 to 59,000, 58,000. People are like, okay, what's going on here? And you see this weakness inside of the price. And then like over the last 2 days, just the sky starts falling down. Now, it's one thing for the price of Bitcoin to fall um, because of one particular instance, or there's it had enough momentum, it peaked at a certain point and is retracing, is correcting. But here we have Elon Musk tweeting out that what was it here? If you show me on my screen over here, and I'm going to put me full screen here, I'll show you some of the nice headline news here. So we got Elon Musk who tweets out that Tesla has suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. So basically, he's saying that Bitcoin is not green, and so Tesla is not going to be accepting Bitcoin for Teslas in the near future. Then we move on. We got when I see tweets like this is what inspired me to jump on Jumpstart Live with you today. I lost everything with a tweet. I know that $5,000 doesn't mean anything to you, but it was everything to me. Some
Oh
people
my
lost
God.
like their life savings. Some people
They're
lost.
blaming Elon Musk's tweet for this? And it's
That's
not a
right.
tweet, it's a policy.
Well, he tweeted out, and then just when he tweeted it out, if you just I'll show you here.
Well, I mean, at some point you had to tell people he wasn't going to be accepting Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So
so he
it was a
goes through
tweet.
very recently saying that that Tesla buys a bunch of Bitcoin on their treasury balance sheet,
Yeah.
is going to
Yeah.
accept Bitcoin, and then a few months later switches his
Oh
idea.
my
I mean, this is the
God.
tweet, and this is the collapse, right? And then right on the same time, JP Morgan, large financial institution, says that Ethereum should be trading at $1,000 instead of at the $4,000, 4,300 that it was trading at before. And then so that comes out, and then all of a sudden, you got Ethereum over here that also starts tanking, right? So Ethereum drops. What was this? From peak to trough, we're looking at 19%, just a nice drop, and it was having this beautiful momentum up.
Just a
And
comment
then
here
we
before you continue, Tom. Actually, we're not on screen, so I can't. I can't do it. Where are you? Come back. Alex says. Alex of Canada says Elon Musk came into my house and stole the money from under my mattress. He's really upset at Elon Musk. Is Elon Musk to blame also for Ethereum and everything else dropping? I mean, come on now.
no, so then you have JP Morgan, and then you also have switch. Then we have Binance. Binance was a huge, I think the biggest or one of the biggest exchanges for cryptocurrencies. Sort of like a stock market for cryptocurrencies. They're facing probes by the U.S. Money laundering and tax sleuths. This is one of those standard FUD things that occur where exchanges are being investigated because they don't have enough security.
Mhm.
Let me just switch back over here. They don't have enough information on the people using their platforms, and then this, it could be used for money laundering, for transferring large amounts of money from one place to another without any checks. Now, Binance and just like a lot of these big platforms, they focus a lot on what's called KYC, know your customer, and on AML, anti money laundering laws. But it doesn't stop a headline like this causing people to be scared and then being shaken out of their position.
Mhm.
So the amazing thing is that it was all happening at once. A bunch of things happened at once, and so it just flushed out a bunch of people from the market. So people who are there who don't know necessarily enough about the market, or is worried that this news will snowball, then have this self-fulfilling prophecy where they start selling, and then everybody else starts selling as well. Peter, I've been fielding phone calls and messages and people who are just like, I don't know what to do. Now, you have to understand, if you came into, let's say, uh, you came into Bitcoin a month, 2 months ago, right? Like
Yeah.
you're looking at your gains gone, or you're in the negative now, and you're just like, this was totally not worth it. I've heard of people making money hand over fist over the last year, 2 years, and I come in and now it drops, and oh my god, this is the end, right?
Yeah.
Which I totally understand. So, I mean, this we're here today not to lament the fall of Bitcoin. I'm not even here to tell you that it's for sure that Bitcoin or all the cryptocurrencies will go back up. That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
Right.
What I'm trying to say here is the same sort of thing the same sort of message we've been plugging along in Jumpstart, which is the idea that you are moving forward into uncertainty. The future is uncertain, and you need to have some way of navigating uncertainty. You don't know what the future will bring, and so just like if you're walking across a frozen lake, you're testing your footsteps in order to make it across the lake.
It's really funny, this attitude of needing to know for sure or feeling like you need to know for sure is so strange because in most aspects in life, or many of the ones that people are concerned about, there is no certainty. Like I even see it in products, buying a product. I want to buy this camera, I want to buy that shirt, but how do I know it's the right thing? I want to buy this mattress, I want to buy that car, but how do I know it's the right thing? And having gone through this process and being mindful during the process, I realized there really is no way of knowing for sure. For example, a car, right? You say, oh, if I buy a brand new car, almost certain that everything's going to be fine. It turns out every so often cars come off the line. One is perfectly good. The brother that was born right after it is a total lemon and won't work for you. And so your consumer reports, your recommendations, all that stuff goes out the window. We have this illusion of certainty, and this need for certainty to be there for us to feel like we can actually make a choice. And especially in the world of crypto, especially in the world of Bitcoin, if I'm pitching Bitcoin to someone, I've heard people pitch it as though it's guaranteed money. Like
That's
for
right.
sure, this thing is going to go up, and it's like
Exactly.
you don't need to pitch things that way, and you don't need to buy into things in that way in order for you to be interested in what's going on. So I'm assuming that there's certainty in this world that you can move forward with, and start learning how to live with uncertainty, how to manage uncertainty. I think that's what you talk about.
That's right, because people think that that there are certain circumstances where they're not dealing with any risk. And the thing is, you're always navigating risk when you're walking across the street, when you're choosing something to eat, when you're choosing a job that you want to do. You're always managing some sort of risk. So someone will go to get a job at a company. They go, I'd rather be an employee of this company because I can handle the risk of not knowing where my next paycheck is coming from, or failing. So I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to do something else. And they think, I'm safe where I am. But then you dive into what they're saying and you go, well, um, if you have no equity in the company that you're working for and no say, what happens if they're bought out and you could get fired? What happens if sales are not as good now because the industry is failing, or it's ebbing and flowing? Could you be cut? What if they decide that a new management comes in and they want to try something new? Like, you don't know what your just because your job has paid you um, consistently for the last 3 years doesn't mean that for the fourth year it's guaranteed you're going to be there. But there's this buried risk where we just ignore it because we haven't seen any change in a while, and then people end up fired from the job and they go, I don't even know what to do now. Same thing with like uh, your health. People take their health for granted. People take their diet for granted. People take their relationships for granted, and they don't understand that this embedded risk line there, right? If you're in a relationship and then you imagine it's going well for 6 years, and then you find out the other person's been cheating for the last two, right? You thought this was certain, and all of a sudden you're like betrayed, and you're like, oh my god. But I'm not saying you have to go walk around assuming that everything will go bad, but you want to be have in mind that it can. You want to have in mind the best and worst case scenarios and all the things in between. I like to separate things into categories of there's category A, category B, the category that's neither category A and B, and the category of both A and B. So you have that covers all the bases. So it's, I think Donald Rumsfeld calls it the known knowns, the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknown
No,
unknowns,
no, no.
which
Yeah,
I find it's
yeah.
more of a
I love
mouthful.
that documentary. It was so good.
Yeah, yeah, so good.
One thing that
You
I
could
found
actually
super
do that as one of the homework at one point. That Donald Rumsfeld documentary, like you want a documentary about an evil person, you're like, okay, let's
I
put
don't
it
know
together.
that he's evil.
No, no, no.
He's evil
But
if you
they
don't
shot it
align
that
with his
way.
values.
They
I
shot it like
love
he
the
was
way
a
they
villain.
shot that documentary. I think
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. I love, Rumsfeld obviously went into this knowing how he would be perceived. I don't think he was bamboozled or surprised by this. He doesn't say anything in his documentary. He doesn't say to anybody, like he'll tell
yeah.
you straight up, like this is the calculation, and he might seem like a sinister mess, especially if you don't agree with his values. But I think the methodology is perfectly sound. Like, of course, this is the way of the world. It's a pragmatic point of view. You talk about uncertainty, how it's embedded in our lives, and how people will discount one
Risk is embedded in our lives. Yeah.
one of the funniest things that I actually liked about the Elon Musk on SNL. I don't know if you watched it yet.
No, I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
You should watch it. People are still talking about it. Apparently, this controversy because he was totally unwoke, didn't apologize for any of his. Not really. He kind of didn't really apologize enough for his past COVID comments or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, apparently people are outraged. Some people, anyway. One of the funniest things that I saw that was literally just glossed over, I feel like the crowd didn't even laugh at it. I think I mentioned this in our last show, was when he mentions that they're making fun that Doge is not a real thing. And then they're comparing it to the US dollar. And then he goes, yeah, that
Right.
Doge is about as good as that is, and I don't think people really understand that is he's not joke. It's a funny, but it's not a
Right.
joke. It's absolutely true. Like the only thing that makes it so that the sun rises on the dollar tomorrow morning is that we all believe in it. Like that we're all willing to accept it. And as soon as that goes away, part of that. I think that's part of what's causing the disruption, not only in the crypto markets but in markets. It's the was it CPI, the inflation index, or that came out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just take a quick look at one quick chart so we have something to point to. So if we see here, I'm just going to pull up a chart of the U.S. dollar. Don't worry about all the other details on the screen. It's just fortune telling. So if we take a look at all right, so this is the American dollar in the middle here. Let's oops. So it's American dollar. Let's do it this way, and you know what? Just so that it's nice and cute for everybody, so
Nice
that
and
we know
cute.
that
What
we're
are you
talking
gonna,
about the dollar.
make it pink?
Let's just make it green. All right, that way we know we're talking about the American dollar here. So we have
Gotcha.
the American dollar over, let's say over since 2000. There we have, this is the whole U.S. dollar since 2000, 1986. All right. So this is the value of the U.S. dollar. So when the line is going down, that means that the value of the U.S. dollar is falling against all other currencies. So let's say you're Canadian, your Canadian dollar is going up in value while the American dollar is going down, and when it's going up, the opposite is happening. So around let me actually put up something here for you to see.
Take your time. Squiggly lines on a page is tantalizing. Everybody loves it. These charts, it's real great. I know you're
Okay,
looking at
so
these on a regular basis, and to you, they tell you the future. You use your calculus for this, but the rest of
well,
us,
can you see
the only
these?
thing
Can you see
interesting
these
about this
red?
is that it's green. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
All right, so you over here in this period over here,
So we're looking at the
is
dollar. This
the
is the price of the dollar over its inception.
over time. Yeah, so we have this period over here where the dollar's going up in value, and this happened during the dot com the boom, and then we have the dollar falls over here during the crisis, right?
Mhm.
So the dollar, is that clear? Can you see that there?
That's the 2008 financial crisis. Just give us the
No,
years.
this is the dot com crisis in 2000.
Oh
So it
yes,
goes up and comes down. And then you have
yes.
over here in 2008. Um, Over here is the 2008 period. This is the global financial crisis where the dollar just got chopped around.
Mhm.
And then we have over here the dollar's been rising. The American dollar has been rising since 2011. And then we had the situation over here, the coronavirus, where the dollar just like spikes and goes crazy. Now, when the dollar moves around like that, it causes all kinds of problems. And so, by holding the American dollar, you can like there's people who make tons of money just switching back and forth between currencies, right? Not cryptocurrencies, not stocks or bonds, whatever. They just sometimes they're in Canadian dollars, sometimes in US dollars, sometimes in the Swiss franc, sometimes in the Aussie dollar, and they go back and forth depending on what the currencies are doing. And that's enough to make you a millionaire if you
Mhm.
if you know what you're doing properly. Forget about Bitcoin. And so what you're talking about, that the Dogecoin is like the US dollar, the dollar that someone has is risky too. Like, you're holding up money in your pocket. People work every single day for this currency that they have, and they don't even know where it comes from, right? They don't know that what central banks or what part they play in the value of the money. They have no idea what the government's spending has to do with it. Like, why do governments need to balance their budget, and why does the uh, remember I heard people once say, well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but basically, the money that you're working for every single day that you depend on changes in value all the time. In fact, like I say all the time,
Just
there's a reason why you
before you
can't
go,
bet. Yeah.
just before you go forward, just because the comment will be, I think Elvira is agreeing a lot with what you're saying. 100, 100, 100. I'm seeing in these emojis over on YouTube. Thanks for your comment. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, there's a reason why people will buy a house so that they could take the money that they have and store it in something that maintains its value, or they'll buy gold, or they'll buy something in order to maintain the value.
Jewelry,
The maintain
art.
exactly maintain the value of their currency, of the money that they work for. And so there's always a risk that your money can just like collapse. Like in that chart of the dollar went from the world's strongest currency to, at the bottom of the financial crisis, the worst currency. It was like
Mhm.
the at one point it's trading at 75. That means that it was worth I think it dropped by, like, before, if you had a Canadian dollar, it would cost you $1.20, let's say, to buy an American dollar. and afterwards it costs you 75 cents to buy an American dollar.
Hmm.
Like, it was some crazy difference. Now, it doesn't we're talking about pennies, but that times all the money that you have, and all of a sudden, someone's wealth who just held American dollars was worth less. If you held $100,000 in American dollars, and then it dropped by that amount, now you can buy only $75,000 worth of things. Like, literally,
Because you know
$25,000 of your money just disappeared, and you think nothing happened. You're just holding on to this currency.
that's the
And
loss of
so,
purchasing power, right?
purchasing power, exactly. What you could have bought in, let's say, 2000, you can buy a lot less in 2008.
Hmm.
That's why, like, people have trouble now, like, buying houses, right? You're trying to buy if you want to buy a house in 2000, it might have cost you $250,000, and that same house now might be $800,000. And millennials are like, why can't we afford to buy a house? It's because the value of the money keeps dropping, whereas the asset, a house is a house, no matter when you buy it. Anyways, so you're constantly navigating risk, and what I really want to get across, and what we'll get across over all these videos that we do, is that you need to have a technique for how to manage these risks. So, for example, in your own personal life, let's say you're making money from your paycheck. Well, some of that paycheck, you're obviously you're paying your livelihood, but some of it has to go into savings, but also some of it has to go into something higher risk that might potentially yield you more. We talk about side hustles that can turn into something else, but it could go into investments that could yield you more. You need both the safety and the risk, or you're definitely going to be poor. You're definitely going to fail, because if you, like I was saying before, if you just save your money's going down in value all the time, and so you're not saving anything. Right? If they're inflating, they're decreasing the value of money by 5% per year, and you're only adding to your savings at 2% per year, then you're losing 3% per year guaranteed. Like, for sure, 100% guaranteed.
Michael
And
Soto
so,
talks about this. He's like,
yeah,
you're losing your 15 to 20% of your purchasing power as the years go on. He says, it's just stupid to just hold on to this thing. It's this leaky boat that's just draining all your resources. And like, what are you doing? Why are you so confident and so willing to hold on to this thing? And somebody presents you with something else like Bitcoin. You're like, no, that's too risky. No, this is what you're
you're
doing ain't
already in
risky.
risk.
It's a guaranteed loss. It's
Exactly.
guaranteed loss. Why are you so okay with it? Well, because everybody's doing it. There's no way they'll let it go completely down. Well, you're
Yeah.
kind of an idiot. You're kind of an
So,
idiot.
back to the example of the of being an employee, or an entrepreneur. The employee thinks, I have no risk. I have this guarantee of this reward every week, where they're not understanding they're risking uh, they're risking not having another skill to fall back on if something happens to their job. Whereas the entrepreneur or the freelancer, or what have you, some of the side hustle, they're expecting not to have a regular paycheck, and
Hmm.
so their behavior is far more cautious. Right? It seems like they're taking on more risk, but when they get money, they save more of it, and they're not spending it nearly as willy nilly as the person who's getting a weekly paycheck and goes to the bar every Thursday and Friday for happy hour, spending $100 at the bar. Right? Because they're fine making it from paycheck to paycheck and saving a little money on the side, but have nothing to cushion them later on if something goes badly, or retirement, or what have you. And so, I set that up in order to set the idea for Bitcoin, that there are all kinds of different types of people who are in this Bitcoin trade. Right? So you have the people who, um, it breaks my heart, who go all in. Right? Now, if you go all into something and you have cash flow, right? Then it's not really all in, right?
Hmm.
Because if you're young enough, you can earn money. You can go to fall to zero, and you can be okay.
Yeah.
You won't be rich anymore, but you're not going to be completely destitute. But some people put their life savings into this highly volatile asset because it's going up. And it's like, you cannot be in something that can gain 100% in value in 4 months without accepting that it could drop 100% in value. Like, that's what
Hmm.
volatility is. You got to know what it is that you're buying. And it's like people aren't happy enough with a small position. They go, well, I put in $1,000 and oh my god, it went up and now it's at $10,000. I should have put more, without thinking that you have to assume you're going to lose this, right? And
or
so,
can lose
or that you can lose it. And so, so I was talking to a friend today who was like, sometimes the fear of missing out makes it so that they want to put more in because they like that the gains go up faster and faster. And one thing I say all the time is forget about the unrealized gains. If you put $1,000 in something and it goes up, let's say you put $1,000 in Bitcoin and now it's up to $5,000, you say, "Yay, I made $4,000." You didn't make anything. You didn't make anything. You still have $1,000 at risk. All that $4,000 means is that if you sold it all now, you would get $4,000, right? And so that means that in order to, if you count that money, that unrealized gains, then it hurts if it goes from 4,000 now to 2,000. Now this is 2,000 is still 100% more than what you had, but people go,
but it
I was
hurts.
up, yeah, I was up
Yeah.
500%. I don't want to be up 100%, and then and it's painful. So you have to sort of like ignore that. You got to ignore the unrealized gains. Well, how do you do that? Well, one things I recommend is that if you're in the trade and you're the whatever you bought, it doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin or stocks or anything like that. If it's going up in value, then you sell some. You sell some as it goes up. I'm not saying you sell a huge amount. I mean, you can sell a third, a half, whatever you want, but you can also sell just a little bit, right? Sell
2%.
1%, 2%, 5% of the position as it goes up. Now you're going to feel horrible because you're like, especially if it continues to go up, especially if it continues to go up for a while, you're like, I took that money out right now. I could have had, but you have to remember, you wouldn't have had it. Like, so for example, Bitcoin right now is at what? Bitcoin is at 49,000. Okay. Remember, it had gone up to 60,000. It's at 49,000 now. And it was at 49,000, let's call it last month. So the whole month, people were like, I'm up this money. I'm up from 49,000 and went all the way to 60,000. Yay. Now it's back at 49,000. And they say, I lost this money. First, you didn't lose anything because you're back to where you started. And secondly, you didn't want to sell on the way up. And now that money is gone. That unrealized gain is gone. Had you sold on the way up, some of it on the way up, now that it's back to this price, you could buy back more in. You'd actually have more money, right? You'd actually end up with more money. Now, when something is going up, people go, they have it in their head and in their linear monkey brains. Well, I don't want to sell it while it's going up because it's going up. And then when it comes down, they go, well, I'm not going to buy now. It's falling. Why would I buy now? It's falling. And you got to have in your head, that's the time to buy. I was talking to my friend and they were saying,
This is
well,
this is if you believe in the thing that you're buying.
if you believe in the thing that you're buying, exactly.
If you don't believe in the thing that buying and you just think it's a why, or you think it's going down, that is going to
Actually,
Bitcoin
it
is a
doesn't even
stupid
matter if you
idea.
believe in the thing that you're buying. If you're holding this position, if you don't believe in the thing that you're buying, sell it all.
Yeah,
There's no reason to be holding it. So we're just talking about managing the position. So if you think that it's possible for this thing to go to zero, but you still want to buy and hold, then you got to drastically reduce your position, right? So let's say you have $10,000 that you want to invest in something, but you think, oh, it's totally possible, very, very totally possible that this thing falls to zero and at a moment's notice. Well, then you don't invest in your $10,000. You invest 500, 1,000. And someone goes, but then I won't make a lot of money on that. Yeah, but you won't lose a lot of money either.
That's how you manage uncertainty.
Exactly. So then, as it goes up, you sell a little bit along the way, and when it comes back down, you buy. Now, just like people don't want to lose out, they don't want to sell a little bit on the way up because they're like, I don't want to lose the gains I could have had. They don't want to buy. They hesitate to buy when it's falling because they go, well, it could go much lower. And I would hate to buy it now. I would hate to buy it when Bitcoin has dropped 20% and then it drops another 20%. Right?
It's funny because having these conversations with you, I just know how stupid it is now. I would have thought the same thing
That's right.
a year and a half ago, but now that I understand that, it's like no wonder most people lose their shirts.
Exactly. and you can't time the top, and you can't pick the top, and you can't pick the bottom. Like, that's not going to happen. And so you're constantly dealing with this. I'm not sure what to do. This pain, and I know for me, the way that I mitigate against that is that I just have a habit. If I see that it's up today, I sell a little bit. I don't care if it's just a smidgen. I sell a little bit. My reward to myself that is up to date is I sell some, and I count that little bit that I sold as real money. That I can count, right? And so if it turns out that I was wrong and it soars freaking another 1,000%, and I wasn't in it, fine. But at least I did. I made a smart move, right?
It's
And
kind of
then
like it's kind of like the paycheck you get from your job this week. That's real money.
that's right.
The 50 years that you think you're gonna get from them, that's
Exactly.
unrealized gains.
That's
Like you
exactly
haven't
right.
gotten that yet.
You
And
haven't gotten that
so
yet.
valuing the thing that you have and making it so that you have a little bit now is actually worth more than staying in, even if it can go up. Like I remember you told me one time you were like, I have this position. If it goes up, if I stay in it, I could make 5 million. But if I remove a third or a half of it, then I'll only be able to make 500 a million. And you're like,
Exactly.
I'm fine with the million.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather take it out, and then whatever I have left in there can make me a million. Than leave it all in for the chance of having 5 million because I know what it's like to have nothing.
Exactly. So buying Bitcoin or buying anything that's volatile, what you're
Before
doing
you
is
jump
that.
into this, I had distracted before from you said a friend. You were talking to a friend. I
Oh
didn't
no,
know.
that's fine. I'm going to cover the idea right now. What you're buying when you're buying Bitcoin is um, uncertainty and volatility. Like, don't mistake what you're buying. The thing that you're buying is not that you're sure that Bitcoin is going to be the new currency on the planet, or that for sure it's going to hit 200,000 by whatever date. That's not what you're buying. What you're buying is that you're buying something that could potentially do something amazing, right?
Mhm.
So when you frame it in with that frame of mind, then you're not thinking about the gains. You're not thinking about the price that it was at. You're not thinking about the price that it could be at. What you're buying is that you go, it's like those people bought Doge. I'm gonna buy this because if it turns out that it's amazing, great. And if it's not, well, at least I participated in the thing. I'm not just there on the sidelines watching it. Now, there's
Yeah.
tons of people on the sidelines watching Bitcoin right now who never got in, who are happy about the people losing money. See, I told you it wasn't good, and I'm gonna tell them, well, uh, we didn't buy a certainty that would be great. We bought a story that we were a part of. What did you do in that time, right?
That's right.
And so you have to sort of like offset your feelings. The interesting thing about investing or trading or anything like that, when it comes to money, when you're buying uncertainty or risk, or this matter if it's a share of a company, a bond, an option, a cryptocurrency, whatever it is, what you have to understand is that you're you have to do basically the opposite of whatever your feelings naturally tell you to do. Because if just following what felt good, what seemed right and reasonable at the time, worked, then there would be way more winners, right? The number I talk to people, and I'll tell them the money that you're getting from this thing, when you're buying a share of stock, crypto, whatever, the money that you're getting is someone else's money, right? You're watching someone, oh, I made $1 million trading Dogecoin. That $1 million came from a bunch of people in Dogecoin who collectively lost $1 million. Now, you think, no, they're getting money from the new people who came into Doge, right? The new money that comes in, that's the money I'm taking. Yes, to a certain extent, but also the money you're taking in for people who bought high and sold low. Tons of those people, way more of those people who are buying high and selling low. They get in, oh, it dropped 10%, they sell it off. You're getting that money. And so, but the people who are losing the money they're not creating YouTube videos. They're not putting pictures of their non-Lambos on Instagram or whatever. You're not hearing from them. The thing is, you don't want to be one of those people. So in order to not be one of those people, you got to do the opposite of what the general public does. So if they buy high and sell low, then you got to buy low and sell high. Which sounds silly that I'm saying this, but almost everybody buys high and sells lower. Like that's what almost everyone does. So when you look at a thing, I know this feeling. When I look at a thing, I go, oh, I don't want to sell it. Boop, I press the button and sell some. As soon as I feel the feeling, oh, I don't want to sell. Boop, I sell it. And then as soon as I feel the feeling, like, oh my god, I don't want to buy this. Click, I buy some. Let me show you something here on my screen. This is you might have heard of this. This is Hertz Rental Company. Okay, so Hertz Rental Company was a stock that used to be at one point it was at $97 for the stock. Can you see this here, Peter?
Yeah, we can see it.
It was at $97, and it crashed and crashed and crashed. And during the for a while, it was just sitting around at $20. And then during the coronavirus crisis, which is right over here, this big drop, it dropped from let's call it $15 down to 51 cents. Okay, so that's
Oh,
a
that
that's
hurts. That
exactly. So
hurts.
that's a drop
Hurts.
of, let's say, 95%. Okay, now
Uh,
once it drops at this level, you see how it's climbing back over here.
Yeah.
So over here, from the around the bottom up to where we are right now, it's up 600%. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, why am I talking about it in that way? So you forget the dollar amounts, right? If someone so it drops the stock dropped 95%, and now it went up from 50 cents to $6, right? So that means uh yeah, to $6.40. Once from as low as 40 cents to $6.40. That means if you bought it at around 50 cents, right, whatever amount you put in there, you've made 600% since the bottom, right? But in order to have bought that bottom, you have to buy it when people are freaking fire sailing this thing, right? And the more you bought as it was falling on the way down, the more you're laughing now, right? Because some guy selling it who bought it at $22 and is selling it now at $1. You're picking it up at $1, and they're like, "You're ridiculous. This is going out to 40 cents," and you're like, "Yeah, that's fine." You're like, "What? You're
I'll
buying it at
buy
a
it at
dollar right now?"
40.
Well, because you don't know the lowest
No, I'm
price,
just
right?
saying, if somebody says that, you just go, well, I'll buy
Exactly,
it
buy it at
also at
40.
40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But someone will buy it for the $1, and they'll go, "It dropped to 40 cents. I lost 60% of my money," right? And but you have to think to yourself, "I'm buying uncertainty. I'm buying the fear." And then you make your position small enough so that you're not worried about losing this money. And then if it turns out that it stays around there at the bottom, then it stays there at the bottom. Or it can sometimes turn into this where it goes up 600%. And people go, "You made 600%." People have never made 600% on the stock, right? When someone
Mhm.
bought it at $50 and it went up to $90, they didn't make 50%, right?
600.
Sorry, they didn't make 600%. They made 120%, right? And they're happy about that. 50 to 90. They have to pay a buttload at 50 in order to get to 90. But if you bought it at 50 cents and now it's $6, you could have bought a ton of these dirt cheap and sold it for an insane profit, right? But it's the fear is the signal to this is I call the fear now I call it the Black Friday sale. I think it's a brilliant name. Black Friday sale, because Fridays in the stock market is where you don't want to be in. You're like, okay, who's holding for the question is who's holding for the weekend? Who's holding this over the weekend? Because you don't know what's going to happen. And Blackwell, that speaks for itself. And so I call them Black Friday sales. So as soon as I feel the fear in Bitcoin, I go, I'm going to buy a little bit more. Now, it doesn't mean that it always succeeds, but you increase your odds of succeeding far more.
Yeah. All right. Just some comments here before you continue on. Elvira says, got to be comfortable. Got to be comfortable with your investment, right? So that's where your work comes in. Choosing something you want to invest in. Even as a trader, I think it's really good to have the mentality of investment, because if you're putting your money into something that you consider to be worthwhile, whether it goes up or down, you're willing to ride it. It's like getting married, like you'll have ups and downs, but you're in it for the long haul, so you'll be able to ride things through, as long as you believe that this is something worthwhile. So being comfortable with your investment, and then keeping your position small enough so you don't lose sleep at night. I remember this was a hard lesson to learn, but if you can't sleep at night, you put too much.
That's exactly
Um,
right. I would
She's
just
also
modify the thing about if it's worthwhile,
mhm,
because some people will invest in something that they think is worthwhile, but if it drops 50%, they can't stomach it. So you got
mhm,
to know where your pain is. So some people's pain is not being in a trade, not being in an investment, the fear of missing out. Some people's pain is that they can't handle if they're underwater, if they've lost money on the trade. Some people's pain is if they were up a lot and it comes down. Right. Some
yeah.
people don't care if they lost 20% on a position because they were already fine with it. But some people, if they were up and now it comes down, they can't handle it. So you got to know where
And
your pain
also
is.
this idea that you haven't lost it until the realized losses until you cash out, right? So
Exactly.
if you're into something, like Michael Saylor doesn't look at the Bitcoin price,
Right.
doesn't care about it. He's holding this until something better than Bitcoin comes along. He'll hold it. And what does he give a crap that it falls up 50%? So what? What if gold dropped 50%? Oh, sell all your gold. What are you,
Right.
stupid?
Stupid.
Like, hang on to this thing. Like, what difference does it make? Like, so staying in there. So Elvira also says, same happens with people watching others starting companies, moving, etc. Right? I think this is you were talking about. People are losing. People have to lose for you to gain, and then we get a false sense of what's going on because of we only see part of what's going on, right? We see the
That's right.
successful companies, we don't see the companies that fail, et cetera, et
That's
cetera. I
right.
think that's what that
If
was.
you follow headlines, if you follow people's tweets and Instagram posts of whatever, then you only get cherry picked good news, or in the news you get cherry picked bad news. But that's only telling you part of the story. The other part is what the actual asset is actually doing, what your investment is actually doing. Um, so yeah.
Alex is posting. What is this? What is this stuff? Resident sleeper, resident sleeper. It's an emoji, but I can't see it up on screen. Uh, he also had a quote here. In quotes, he wrote, "Burn through money now, enjoy life, save for retirement, poop on golden toilet." That's Abraham Lincoln, he says. Uh, this is back when you were talking about, how to deal with your money and stuff. So, okay, I know we want to hammer this home because you've hammered it home with me a lot. We've talked many hours about this. And I want to bring up the point that a lot of what people don't get about the world is that it's counterintuitive.
Right.
Yes, there are aspects of life that are intuitive. If you're sitting down with a person on a date, all of your biology for the entire history of humankind is designed for you to pick up on cues. So if you sense that she might not be into you, you're probably right. Okay, like your intuition there. If you're paying attention, if you're open minded, is likely going to lead you down a good path. But so much of life is counterintuitive. So before I talk about the counterintuitive part, I want to bring up a point that I heard Malcolm Gladwell talk about on, I think it was Stephen Colbert's the Colbert Report. He was talking about intuition. He says, if you're at a party, I'm paraphrasing here, if you're at a party and some random person walks up to you and says, look, I don't have any reason to believe this, but I just looking at you, I can sense that there's something wrong with your heart. You should get your heart checked out. You'll be like, all right. But if you're at the same party and a doctor walks up to you and says, look, I haven't analyzed you or anything like that, I'm just getting a sense that something might be wrong with your heart. You might want to check that out. Well, the doctor's intuition is based on far more experience, information. He or she might be picking up on the flow of blood in your cheeks, about the flutter of your eyelashes, of the tone of your voice, of your posture, of how much like. They might be picking up on subconscious cues that are leading them to this intuitive remark, whereas somebody else doesn't. So what I learned from that is that, especially in the world of self-help, the world of personal development, people really often rely on, my intuition is right. That's why they fall in the trap of believing that their feelings are letting them know about, we talked about something in the last show. The feelings, I said, your feelings are not letting you know what reality is. Your feelings are letting you know how you're viewing reality, not on what reality
That's
really
exactly
is.
right.
And then I find that in a lot of domains, people use their intuition, whether it's for finance, picking politicians, whatever, they use their intuition in order to make decisions. And you're like, no, you should not use your intuition. In fact, it's far better to be counterintuitive. Right?
That's
The
right.
amount of times where I'm in a situation I feel uncomfortable or I shouldn't be, I go, wait, hang on a second. This is all made up. My intuition is telling me run away. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. But what's actually true is that if I should stay with it, I should get my mind right. I should fit myself into the situation. So when it comes to this, and we laugh about it all the time. I mean, I laugh about it because you rant about it. But this idea that when the price goes up, people want to buy it, and when it goes down, people don't want to buy it, and it is so obvious, but actually counterintuitive for so many folks that I don't know what you have to do, what you have to tell them to hammer it into their head. How do you get past the emotional aspect? I mean, besides experience, which is your root, but how do you get past the emotional experience that says, even though my intuition says run, flee, to fight that?
Okay, so there's two ways that you might want to think about this. So the first one is that when you're thinking about sports, a amateur player or a casual player of sports is playing whatever is happening in the game right now, right? The ball is over there, they're going to the ball. The player's over there, they're going to the player. But an experienced player is going to go where the ball is going to be. They're not playing what is. So like
Okay,
they're not
on
going to
that
chase
note,
where the person is right now.
I just put up a comment on screen because I wasn't going to wait for you to stop speaking, but I think this actually fits with what you're saying. So jump off of this. This is Diothodus TM. He says, my intuition is telling me Bitcoin may go to 30,000. All right. So
Well, that's fine. So then, if you think it's going to go at 30,000 and you want to get in, then say I'm going to wait till it gets to 30,000, and then I'm going to when I get that pitch, I'm going to hit it. But when it gets to 30,000 and it's plummeting to 30,000, like you're going to feel like I don't want to buy it now, right? And if it drops to 15,000 and then starts skyrocketing towards 30,000, you might not have time to buy it at 30,000. It might pass it and you'll get in at 45. You go, oh, I should have bought it when it's lower.
damn it.
So fine. If your intuition says go to 30,000, that's perfectly fine. At 30,000, buy. Unless you think it's not going to go up, right? So a professional athlete plays the future. They don't play the present. And so, if right now the price of a stock is going up, then you know at some point the price will go down later. Now, the reason I'm showing the performance for Hertz is that um, it doesn't matter what price you get. All that matters is the performance of the asset from that price. So
Percentage
it doesn't matter
gains.
if you right. It doesn't matter if you bought Bitcoin at $100, at $4,000, or at $50,000. What matters is the percentage change of when you sell it. So if you can make 20% on Bitcoin or 100% on Bitcoin if it goes from 40,000 to 50,000, just like you can make it go from 50,000 to 60,000. Uh, you can make 100% going from 20,000 to 40,000 as you can from 40,000 to 80,000. It's the same thing. What's even more unique about Bitcoin is it's not like a share where the higher the price gets, the less of the share you can buy. But because Bitcoin is infinitely divisible, no matter where you get in, a 20% move is a 20% move. You're making that amount of money. So it's actually silly to think about the nominal value, the number value of what it's worth. In fact, when it comes to investing and trading, get the number of the thing out of your head, right? Don't don't when I look at Bitcoin, I don't think to myself, don't switch. When I think about Bitcoin, I don't think to myself, oh, it's what the price is. I go, oh, it's down on the week 16%, it's down on the month 4%, it's up on the year 370%. That's what I care about.
Mhm.
I could give a crap what the number is. I care about the percentage performances. Similarly, for your portfolio, who cares if you had $100 and you go up by 50% and then down by 20%. That's very different than if you were down by 20% and then you go up by 50% because it's
Right.
relative to the last price, right? And so you want your percentage performance to be consistently positive, and that way your portfolio value will always increase in value. Now, what difference does it make to you how fast it increases in value? What are you trying to spend that money next month? You trying to plan a vacation this summer? If your 100% portfolio is going up in value little by little, and you're worried about and you're getting performance increases, right? You're increasing here 5%, and there 10%, there 20%, and when it goes down, you only go down by 1% or 3% or 4%. If you're doing that, eventually you'll get to a larger amount. That's what compound returns are. That's what compound interest is. Because 1% of $100 is $1, but 1% of $100,000 is $1,000. So as long as you're incrementally going up with your percentages, you're always going to be making more and more money. So get the nominal value, the dollar value, out of your head. If I hear someone talk about the specific dollar price of an asset without telling me what the performance is, I go, well then, what do I care what you have to say? That's what a rookie would say.
That's
That's
right.
how
That's
a
right.
rookie thinks.
Um, the more you talk about this, and I felt this way for the past couple of days because I've watched Bitcoin pull back a few times now. I I'm actually happy that it's going down. I want it to go down even further. I actually
Right.
believe in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is here for the long haul. Like I don't give a crap if this thing goes down to 4,000 again. I'll be ecstatic.
That's right.
How much Bitcoin can we get at that point? Like we could just like get as much. Like I believe in Bitcoin. I think it will go up. It's like these people with Tesla. It's like, oh, Tesla's down this quarter. It didn't make their numbers. You're like, do you not? You don't think electric cars that he's making beat out regular cars? Have you driven one? Have you been in one? Like, what are you talking about? The thing like accelerate. Every car person I ever know, they're like drive into this thing. They're like, oh my god, this thing is changing my perception of what a car could be. The details of the company is one level thing. The product is actually good. Bitcoin, people, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Bitcoin is a get rich quick scheme. I'll be able to double my money. You think Bitcoin is here to double your money?
That's right.
Bitcoin is the security for the future. It is the base layer on which all operations will be done. It will
Could be done.
inspire, could be done. It can inspire a whole new way of being. It's like someone showing you electricity and going,
Yeah.
people are not buying it.
Right.
People are not
It
installing it.
caused the
You're like,
fire over here. There's a
cause a
problem over
fire over
there.
there. It's over
It's too
there. Where's the
expensive.
infrastructure for it? What if
Right.
they regulate it? You're like,
That's right.
we're drawing power out of the air, out of water. Like, what are you talking about? That's what Bitcoin is to me. So if you actually believe in Bitcoin, and to me this is Bitcoin specifically, not cryptocurrencies in general. I don't know so much about Ethereum, and never mind the altcoins. To me, that's just a trading. That's just a gambling, which is fine. It teaches you the things that you need to know anyway. But when it comes to Bitcoin, there is no. I don't actually have any true uncertainty for it in the long term. Even if it's 100 years from now, like that's the thing. Like it might, maybe in our entire lifetime, it will like something disastrous will happen. But I think it's a technology that's been discovered, a way of being that's been discovered that eventually it will become the standard of the world. So I like that the price is going down. And now I get that if you're picking your investments correctly, the price going down is like, oh my God, a Black Friday sale. Like,
It's a Black
oh
Friday
my
sale.
God, a
Right.
buying opportunity. And when it goes up, like I feel like, oh, less people are going to be able to get into this now.
Well, so that brings me to the second point. I was talking about the professional athletes. They play the future. They don't play the present. That's what makes them good. One of the things that make them good. Well, there's another thing that I'm not sure if we've talked about on Jumpstart before called ergodicity. Have we talked about this?
I believe so. Yeah.
So just to remind people, ergodicity is the idea that when the average outcome for, let's talk about an investment, if the average outcome for something is also your expected outcome, then you call that system ergodic. And when it's that the when it's different, when your expected outcome is different than the average outcome, then we call that non-ergodic. So you can imagine something that's non-ergodic is uh, something like trade in the stock market, right? If you trade the stock market, some people will make a lot of money. Some people will lose a lot of money, and there'll be a bunch of people in the middle or whatever. And so, when we calculate the returns of the stock market, we average that amount. We go, the average return was 20% this year, but you might have made 300%, and someone else might have lost everything, right?
Mhm.
So your individual expectation for what you'll make is different than what the average is. So it's a non-ergodic system, and you have to be careful for that because usually almost all things that when you're talking about products that people use, medication that they use, um, uh, uh, anything, almost anything, people are pitched the average return, right?
Mhm.
So you can be if the average score, you see a star rating for a restaurant on Yelp, and you go, okay, well, on average, it's a 4.5 star restaurant, but you go there and you can have a terrible experience,
That's right.
right? So there's no guarantee that you're gonna have a wonderful experience.
So that would
You're
be that would be
That'd be
ergonomical, like
non-ergodic. That'd be
non-ergodic.
non-ergodic.
It didn't
But
conform with your expectation.
yes, but if you looked at the average of 100 restaurants, what their scores are, and so you average the scores for 100 restaurants, and then you go to those 100 restaurants, chances are you're gonna have the average experience. Like
Mm,
your average experience of the 100 restaurants is likely to be the average experience of all the stars for the restaurants, right?
mhm.
Whether it's from 1 star all the 4 stars, and then you have an ergodic
5
experience.
star. The top is 5-star, Tom.
No one
1
gets
star to
five
5
stars,
star.
Peter. No one gets. All it takes is one person to vote zero, and then you never get more. You get 4.99.
Every one of my casinos have gotten 5 stars, 5 diamonds. Every one of my casinos.
So the question is, how do you
I don't
increase the
care
chances?
about your earthquake. Get him out of here. Sorry. Sorry.
Ocean's 12?
13, I think it is. 13, yeah. It
Right,
could be
that's when they
12,
come
though.
back. Ocean's 12 is when they go abroad. The one of the ways you can increase the chances that you get the ergodic outcome is that you spread out your bets, right? So in the crypto space, if you put it all into Bitcoin, then you suffer the vicissitudes of Bitcoin. But if you go, I believe that the crypto space, I believe that the blockchain technology, the tokenization, and this sort of thing will be the way of the future. But I don't know which horse will win. Well, then if you spread your bet out across a broad set of them that have different sorts of qualities to them, Rally that focuses on creator tokens, Ethereum that worries about decentralized finance and apps, Bitcoin that's trying to be digital gold, and different alternatives. If you study the space even cursorily and you place your bets across them, um, then what happens is that uh, any one of them could go up and down a lot, but you might still get you increase the chance that you get the average outcome of the crypto space.
Mm.
It's sort of like if you're going to bet on which internet browser will succeed, Internet Explorer, or Netscape, or Firefox, or whatever. You go, oh, I'm really going to bet on Netscape. I think Netscape has the best management, and they're going to be the. You're like, okay, well, Netscape's not around anymore. So if you made that bet, then you lost. Even if you meant to bet on Microsoft, you might have lost because Google came out of the gate and Firefox is there. So what you want to do is, if you're invested in a space, if you think that the space is interesting, then you want to have an investment across the top dogs, the middle dogs, and the low dogs. I call it in the crypto space. I call them uh, Bitcoin, then altcoins, and what I call ultra altcoins, which are just stuff like Dogecoin or whatever. Now you might think, how does that work? So I did a portfolio once of about 50 crypto tokens. I don't know anything about these tokens. I just wanted to experiment because my rule. If I don't have money into something, and then I won't be able to learn it properly. That's true for a lot of people. So I through a number of criteria of the market capitalization and what kind of news is around them, how many people are trading it, a bunch of different details. I sorted a list and I purchased 50 of them, and I lost money in 90% of them, and one of them made 1,000%. So my average gain was still way higher than I got the ergodic results. I got the average of all those guys, and one of those averages turned out to be some victim of the Pareto distribution, the 1% of the 1%, and I succeeded. Now, if I just chose one, right? Someone might say, well, if you chose that right one
And
that
put it
was going
all
to be,
in.
if I put it all in that one, oh my god, you would have been up so much. Yeah, but then my risk was really high, and I
That's
would have
right.
had a non-ergodic result. But because
Mm.
I spread it out, then I didn't even have to care about the other positions. Peter, I didn't even have to think about them because one of them paid for all. And then as it went up, I sold. Right, I sold, took my money out, and then when this crash happened, I couldn't care less because I've the other money is on. It's on its way to my bank account. What the fuck? What do I care? And so that's one of the things that
Welcome
most people
to
do.
Welcome to Jumpstart Live with Tom, Peter Hartman. Guaranteed money, guaranteed winnings. This is a strategy that will work in every casino across the country. Guaranteed win. Just bet it all. Just bet everything. Just put money in every single thing. It's like the people at slot machines in casinos. I've seen them just like at 10 machines. Ding, 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 ding. Of course, I'm just joking around there. But
No,
is
those
that
people, they
is
do get the ergodic result, because the ergodic result is 98%, 98% loss. So they do
all
get the
right. So
ergodic
I was going to
result.
ask you. So yeah. So I was going to ask you: is this a strategy that you intend to do moving forward? Is this something that is reproducible? Should other people do this thing? I'm not
It
that
depends
you're
what you're buying, and
suggesting. Not that you're suggesting anybody do anything. You're not a financial advisor.
no, absolutely not a financial advisor. It just depends what you're buying and what space you're in. When I'm putting money into crypto, what I'm interested in is the space. I'm not looking to. I don't care what horse wins. I want the space to succeed, and I want to be part of that space. And so I have a wide spread. Now people will laugh because my positions are tiny. But what happens with the tiny positions is that the ones that are going to fail quickly, and then lose a little, and then I get a better signal as to which ones can survive more. Like on a day like today, if we just switch to my screen over here, on a day like today, if we take a look at actually, let me just pull it up here. So this is a spreadsheet here of altcoins. So there's a bunch of altcoins over here. Oh, sorry, that's not the one I want to show you.
We are
So on
currently
a day like
looking
today,
at
these
Tom's
are
charts. These are the charts that Tom look at every day. This is his field of view. This is field of view. This is why he can't talk to human beings. It's because they're not as clear as these charts to him. Go, Tom.
so we have over here Bitcoin in the top left, and then Ethereum, ADA, DOT, and we have a bunch of them, Litecoin, a bunch of cryptocurrencies. Well, there's
Mhm.
one over here, this ADA, that's up. The crypto market's going down, and ADA is up 20%.
What?
Is up 20% on the week and 1,800% on the year. Right now, you might say, "Oh, well, that's not as good as that's not as good as." Well, actually, that's pretty goddamn good. So ADA is up. So ADA here, we're seeing that in this event is non-correlated with the broader crypto market, at least as far as the FUD we're seeing, right? So when it comes to Binance, and when it comes to the exchange being investigated by the RS, when it comes to Elon talking about that Bitcoin is not energy efficient, when we're talking about shoot, what was the other one that
Junior is
JP
saying
Morgan
Ada.
saying that Ethereum should be worth 1,000. Well, ADA doesn't have to suffer from any of that, right? And you look into ADA,
June
and
is saying on comment here, Ada is a solid project. Is that why
yes,
it might be going up?
yeah, it's called Cardano. So I love Cardano because it's different than the other cryptos in the space. Because, anyways, for a number of reasons, Cardano started because it didn't like how all the other crypto tokens were behaving, so it behaved differently. They focus on third world countries. They're like, if our cryptocurrency doesn't work for the Ethiopian farmer, we're not interested. They're going from the slow bottom up process, and they really like what they're doing. And then now it turns out that under certain circumstances, they're uncorrelated with the broader crypto market. So that's still being part of the crypto space. And I have one of these horses that are far surpassing the other ones, right? And so in my portfolio, there's at least one that's greener than the rest, that's up more than the rest. And so on ones that suffered greatly, those I might cut off and put a little bit more money into ADA when I get the chance, right? So the next time Cardano has a dip, then I'll probably take some money and put it inside of it because it proved itself under poor circumstances. So now I'm going to wait for a time where it drops and put some money in there. And but you only can do this if you're thinking about what is it that you're buying. I in this case I'm buying the space, the crypto space,
Mhm.
and it's having the positions there educates me, and them dropping to zero doesn't matter because I'm not tied specifically to any given one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're not putting an amount that you can't lose into them for the
That's right.
experiment. That's why one of the things we tell people, like if you want to understand Bitcoin, if you want to understand the space, nothing's stopping you from putting $50 into this thing. If you're the type of person that doesn't have $50 to spare, I'm really, really sorry. You don't have $25. I'm really, really sorry. But if you want to learn about something, putting a little skin in the game is really important, and a small amount makes it so that you can sleep at night.
Well, I'm not suggesting that everyone has to only put small amounts. I'm saying know where your pain is. If you're
Yes,
the kind
yes.
of person who can sell on the way up, and it's fine with cutting their positions if they need to cut their losses, or just miss out on unrealized gains. If you're that kind of person, well, then you can handle larger positions because you're not going to be sitting there going, "Oh, I hope it goes back up. I hope it goes back up." You're like, "I'm just going to sell it off now. I could have been up 300%, but I'm up 10%. I'm fine with that. Let me just get out of the position." If you can do that, then a larger position makes sense.
Most people
Obviously,
can't do that.
it depends where your pain
Emotion.
is. It depends where your pain is, and you'll find out where your pain is when you put money into something, into a risk asset. I mean, then you'll find out.
Tell me if this is falls under the rubric of ergodicity, ergodicity, ergodiciousness.
Ergodicity, yeah.
So I did this little experiment. Over COVID, I'm not seeing people. I'm watching more TV shows. I'm watching more movies. I run out of TV shows. I run out of movies. I really love watching movies and TV shows. So I ran out of all the top level 8-star IMDb, all the good stuff. Everything that I wanted to watch, I would have watched. And I find that for the most part, IMDb ratings are really spot on. Okay, for me, they're like, if it's a 7, it's a 7. 7.2, it's a 7. Like that works for me. But I was curious because sometimes I really like a movie and the crap that it gets on IMDb, the crap that it
And
gets
Night
online is
Shyamalan
like,
movies, yeah.
especially yes, and you're like, okay, this seems a little strange. So I decided I was going to watch. So I don't watch any movie, generally speaking, that's under 7 stars. Like to me, 7 stars is the bottom. Uh, Below that, the subject matter has got to be like the thing that I just like, time travel. Like, okay, fine, I'll watch your shitty time travel thing. But I decided to, in all the categories that I watched, that I was going to watch all the 5-star movies. Okay, between 5 and 7 stars, all the 5 stars, 6 stars, 5 stars. I'd even dip into 4.5 if the subject matter. I was like, let me just watch some bad movies to get a sense of the criticism, like what's true for your criticism. So I watched all these 5-star things. I've even suggested some to you. I'm like, it says 5 stars, but trust me, I think you would like this. So I actually found, okay, most of them were duds, but I found that I could enjoy a surprising amount of them, even though they were duds. There were things about them that I like, even though they didn't stick the landing or something didn't make sense. And then there was also movies that were 5 stars that were great. I was like, what the hell is this thing 5 stars? At least according to me. Like I'm not some movie critic, but at least according to me. And then when I finished watching each one of those movies, I'd go and read the comments and the criticisms over all those movies to compare them to the comments and things that I read on the movies that I actually do like and the movies that are actually high stars. And I realized, oh, a lot of this is pretty similar to the point where certain criticisms that people are making, now I know to discount them. Like now I know what to ignore from the noise of the crowd. Somebody says, this actor wasn't right for the role, or the ending doesn't make sense, or what the types of criticisms that you make. I go, oh, okay, those are things that don't bother me. And so this 5-star is 5-star because the person, this is an adaptation from a book, and they had such high expectations and it destroyed them. But I never read the book, so I could give a crap. So watching the movie is fine for me. I started learning. That's kind of like putting the way I thought about it is like putting all this money into all these ultra altcoins or tokens or something, just to get a sense, a deeper understanding of what's going on, so that now, after all that experiment is done, now you're more clear-minded about all the things that you can pick because you're attuned to the criticisms on a much deeper level.
Exactly.
My expectation of what the thing will be relative to its star didn't match the average or didn't match what other people did. It was non-ergodic. Is that am I using that correctly? Ergodic.
Yeah, you're close because that's exactly it. Watching those movies is like putting a small position in that in what you're doing. So it's like I'm not going to judge this. I can't judge this unless I try it. It's sort of like seeing the restaurant score. Well, try the restaurant, and then you'll know if a 3 here is a 3. If it really matches a 3.
That's right. And I should add that like the hours of the day that I would generally watch a movie is not when I watch these. I watch them in a period where I was fine to lose that time.
Mhm.
It was a small enough contribution of my energy and of my time because I didn't take the time that I would normally. I didn't take my dinner time at 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. whatever to do it. I watched it in the middle of a Sunday where I'm editing a video, so I'm going to watch this half-ass watching it. And so I found a way to do it so that I wasn't losing sleep on it. Like it didn't hurt
Exactly
me to
right.
spend. Oh, I wasted 2 hours on this. Well, it's 2 hours I was cleaning the house, so who cares if I wasted 2 hours on it?
Yeah, and I have the same sort of thing with music. Like, there's the music I really like, cheesy, candy pop music from the '90s. Give me Backstreet Boys, give me Belinda Carlisle, give me Britney Spears. This is what I like. But uh, every once in a while, I'll listen. Put me on browse. Come on, let me see. Let's see what out there. Let's spend some time, half an hour of my music time, listening to something new. And all of a sudden, it turns out I really like Celtic choir music. All right, let me listen to that now. And sometimes I'm listening to Young Jeezy for 5 minutes. I'm like, I just wasted my time here. Um, but that's the one of
I
the
think it's
reoccurring themes of
Yeezy. I think it's Yeezy.
sure, sure.
Or maybe there is a
Um,
Jeezy. Who knows? I don't know.
I'll apologize to him, to Mr. Jeezy. But that's the idea of there. You have to have the lion's share of your investment of money or time or attention or whatever on the things that you know are valuable or useful to you, and then you have to have some other part that's out there on the fringes, on the edge, risking, because you never know what might show up. So, anyways,
On that,
that's gonna be for
I
me.
do want to
Is the
say
last.
one thing on that point because I think I was saving it from before you just brought it back there. I'm going to butcher this. I'm paraphrasing. I'm drawing it from memory. Whatever, but I think it's worth saying, even though I don't remember the full source and the full details. There's this idea that humankind, our curiosity, was actually what gave us our greatest or one of our greatest advantages to be able to adapt and to survive. In that normally when animals are congregated in a space and they're surviving there, they don't tend to venture out to new things. They stay around the river until the river is gone. Like they stay there. Whereas humans, there's a percentage of humans who are just curious enough that they're willing to leave the safety and comfort and certainty, relative certainty of their environment to go explore. And this explorer instinct makes it so that through serendipity, you're able to find greater, much greater resources that might be just beyond where people are hanging out, a greater source of water, a greater source of food, way more than you can get, that you will only get to if you're willing to leave this level of comfort to go there, but that, 10 people leave, 9 people get eaten by the lion, one
I
person
was gonna
finds
say
the
that.
oasis.
That's right. Not all heroes come back, but the heroes do come back. You bring
So
something with you.
that attribute of exploration and curiosity, people talk about Elon Musk going to Mars. They're crazy. No, let the 1% of the population that's crazy enough go to Mars. You never know what we can be discovering. You never know how it could help us here. That instinct that you might have inside you, we all have this explorer instinct. We're descendants from explorers. We're also descendants from scaredy cats, but there's enough explorers in us that you might have a little curiosity, you might have an urge, a desire to explore, but you might be captivated by habit, by tradition, by what you perceive as certainty. But if you could take a portion of your energy, a portion of your life, a portion of your time, and extend it through exploration in these other avenues, you might end up finding a resource or a way of being that is so far beyond better than what you are experiencing now that it's worth the risk that you're putting there into getting that. One of the predictions that I hear for Bitcoin is that it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, I don't know how long, that it could go up to 1 million. Well, in that context, when I see it go from 61 down to 49 to 47, it's like it 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 doesn't really hurt. Like the risk of that seems, and the pain of that seems almost inconsequential compared to, hey, I could get out now, end of the game, end of the story, or I can stay in and the story could lead me to $1 million price point,
I
which would marginally
I'll go you one better.
change my
All
life.
right. So you're talking about the benefit of the explorer mentality, in being able to to get innovation, to get novelty, to get value from unexplored things. Add to that, especially in this specific case of Bitcoin, um, if you just rely on your pay, let's say you're making $60,000 a year, or just about your pay, and none of it ever goes to anything that could possibly increase in value. I'm talking about any type of investments, side hustle, cryptocurrency, whatever it is. Nothing ever goes off to that. Then you will eventually not have enough money. you will definitely guaranteed not have enough for retirement. You will definitely guaranteed be living on the edges. You'll be definitely guaranteed always reducing your consumption, because eventually you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna live. There's a whole length of life after you're done working, and you're the money that you're accumulating now, you're gonna have to save for that, and all the money is going down in value. And so if you think you're being safe, if you that by not having that heroic entrepreneurial spirit, if you think that you're playing it safe that way, that you're not being one of those silly people or a part of the silly Dogecoin or Bitcoin or whatever the hell it is, or whatever thing people are focused on, if you're not part of that, if you think that you're safe, you're not. When it comes to the monetary system, it is designed specifically on purpose to decrease in value every year. And so you have to go out and explore. You have to go and do it. You have to go out and see what other options are there, and fail and fail and fail and fail until you succeed. Because if you don't, it's a sad old life for you.
But we don't want a sad old life for you, and we know it's not easy to just get out there. That's why we're here for you. Jumpstart Live is a salon that is meant to not only inspire you and expose you to new ideas, but give you a way in order to uh, engage your side hustle, to earn extra money, to start thinking about your life in this creative way, so that you're not stuck holding the bag or holding nothing when the other shoe drops. This has been a really fun conversation. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm glad we did that. Woke up today, talked to my brother this morning. He's like, I have to tell people we have to do a show today. We have to do this, and of course, we definitely did. Hopefully, we quieted some hearts out there, gave you some hope for the future, give you a reason to diamond hands hold, baby, diamond hands hold. But we had a lot of fun here today. My name is Peter Hartman.
I'm Tom Hartman, and if you
And
don't
you're
have any
watching.
Bitcoin, now's a good time to buy some.
Not a financial advisor, but if you want to go explore, go explore. You're
Go
watching
explore.
Jumpstart Live, folks. Remember
This
to head
is
over
your
to
life.
remember to head over to youtube.com/happy for a change. Hit subscribe. Become a subscriber. It really helps us out. It really, really helps us out. Like the video wherever you can see us. We're also on Twitch right now. We're streaming onto Facebook. So you can find us where all internet are sold. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice time. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. Elvira says, great video today. I'm going to remove the today part. Great video. No, she said today. She said it. She said it. Thank you for everybody who's chatting. Everybody's here. Samantha Barley giving us some applause here.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Alex.
Elvira, Alex. We had a gentleman, Diothotis, who came into the room. Really appreciate that. Love your attention. Give us more of it. We got some more wonderful stuff coming your way. All right, gotta go, gotta work, gotta learn some more, gotta live life and experience so we can tell you about it.